I swear, I really went down those stairs. Something's just like, come play with me, and it's probably not a good thing.
It's not.
Then I was like getting weird. I was like, is that his red room? Sorry, but I was like, oh, what kind of freaky shit happens down there that only certain people are allowed? Like, creeper. God. I totally had those thoughts too, so. Hey guys, welcome to Eternal Return Podcast. We're your hosts, Melissa and Kristina. If you're looking for more paranormal activity or spirit communication, check us out over there on Instagram and Facebook at Eternal Return Pod. Well, I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but at the beginning of this episode, we played for you an EVP that we caught during the recording of the show. We'd love to hear what you guys hear and what you think of it. And if you want to get a better listen to it, it's actually on the Instagram page. You can comment what you hear there and tell us what you think about it. It sounded like a warning to me, and we'll get into more of that in this show. We have a crazy show for you guys today. It's really cool. We have dead celebrity photos, serial killer dentures. We are talking about paintings that will burn your fucking house to the ground. We have a haunted vampire murder mirror, what it's like to be scratched by a haunted vampire murder mirror. I go to jail and Kristina hates it. We have arts and crafts for you today, paintings by an angel of mercy or possibly a dealer of death. I don't know, you guys decide. Tell us what you think about him. We have a shovel used to dig up dead women's corpses to make home decor and nipple belts out of. Just crazy stuff. We have a bloody murder doll. And I was seduced by a satanic basement. We visit the circus and we see a lion that murdered not one but two of his trainers. And along the way, we catch a freak show, and Kristina hates it. We have a spirit box session with a haunted doll known to cause heart attacks. I face my fears and run a gauntlet of hundreds of asshole clowns. We board a yacht with no lifeguard on duty, and there's a 100% chance that we will hit an iceberg along the way. We get a glimpse of what demon possession looks like, and we also visit a portal to hell. So I know what you're thinking. Where the hell are we going to find all these things in one place? Easy. He's done all the work for you. It's none other than ZAK Bagans Haunted Museum. So the hauntedmuseum.com, and it was like $46, which and maybe some change with tax. We pre-purchased our tickets online. You have to be 16 in order to attend. And you also sign a waiver.
Yes, you do.
Honestly, I didn't read it, so I probably signed my life away.
It's just basically if you get possessed, you're not going to hold them liable. He just closed that exhibit the other day from the Devil's Rocking Chair, from The Conjuring. He bought it from the Warrens. He might have purchased it before she passed away, because she just passed away. He tweeted that there was some activity in the room, and they witnessed him and one of his people had witnessed, I think it was the power cord coming out of the socket, the light socket. Something moved, and so he decided to shut the exhibit down. Like it wasn't even open today. Yeah, because I remember it was supposed to like open around October.
Because we had the shooting, and I remember thinking that they handled it really well. I think they just did a vigil for it, which was I thought was pretty cool, considering he's local and he kind of understands.
Right.
We're all kind of in shock still. What was that, 2017 then? October of 2017?
Yeah, October of 2017.
And we just now made it in, and we went for my birthday.
Because I've been too chicken, and I was pregnant, so I wasn't going to go in pregnant.
Right, and then I was pregnant.
You were pregnant. I didn't want any bad juju on the babies.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I probably would have went pregnant anyway, just because.
I know you would have.
Just because I'm stubborn, but being as it was such a small space, I'm probably glad we didn't.
What I didn't realize before going in is that you can actually go to the gift shop from the back of the building without actually going through the museum. So if you were in Las Vegas and you wanted to stop and get some swag for somebody at home that you could actually park in the back of the building and enter the gift shop.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I didn't know that. I would have already been down there and had bought shit.
Yeah.
Because I love my mugs.
Yes, you do.
I obviously will go through hell to get a mug, the Clown Motel, and then this.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother one. You wait outside. It's Las Vegas. It gets hot. They do have shade. They do have misters. There's a porta potty outside and a bathroom inside. Be forewarned, if you're doing it in the summer, it is hot in this town. They do have misters. It was still a nice day, and I felt like my eyelashes were coming off out there.
Yeah. You might want to bring water. They sell water, but it's cheesy bottled water for $3. So you might want to bring like a hydro flask or something if you're going to go in the heat. Like you said, there was misters on. I could definitely see it being a little miserable waiting out there because we waited an hour and a half.
Yeah, we got there at 1 o'clock when it opened. Parking lot was already full. I parked in a side parking lot. It's not the greatest area of town, but you're not going to find buildings like that unless you go into those parts of town. It is downtown. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not somewhere I would walk around at night by myself, so just kind of keep that in mind as well. There is, I guess, would you call those guys security? The guys outside?
Yes.
Tim.
It was super nice. They have a great sense of humor because you have all kinds of colorful characters coming to Las Vegas, so you better be personable, I think, And they were the super nice guys out there and a good sense of humor. And what was the other gentleman's name? The one that does the Tales of the Crypt?
Michael, I believe. Mike.
With green hair, right?
Yeah. I tried to find his podcast. I haven't been able to. They're all really, even the tour guides were really, really nice. It was my birthday, so I was determined to do 2 things. Go in all the rooms. And the clown one, Kristina told me there was a clown one because I didn't know anything about the place other than there was a Zoltar one that is him. It's ZAK Bagans, and it's his likeness as the Zoltar kind of machine. And I knew it spit out a thing, and I knew I wanted the ticket. So I was determined that I was going to get it, and it cost $1.
It goes along with the ticket and being selected, isn't there?
Yes, there is a price other than the $1 to pay for this said ticket that I did because I didn't research anything about it. I knew about the Divic box because you told me about it, and I knew about this Zoltar thing that I wanted this ticket. There's going to be spoiler alerts throughout this episode, so just know that. After you sign your waiver, wait in line, check your ID, you do your little pledge. You have to put your arm up and you do a pledge.
Yeah.
After, you sign your life away. And then you go into this room and they talk about a few key things. These rooms are packed with shit. There is stuff everywhere. Everywhere. And
claustrophobic, take note, because I am claustrophobic and I had to work through that fear being there because there's just... It's literally on the floor to the ceiling, and some of the rooms are really just jam-packed of artifacts.
Yeah, it's craziness. Like, I don't know how to explain it. We had a larger group.
Yeah, we did. I think we had 14. 15.
So we were stepping on each other's toes. We were bumping into each other. That's how small the spaces are. We went into the first room, and she's talking about each individual things, and then she chooses 2 people. She asks, do you know this person? Do you know that? And we're like, no. And it happened to be the people that were waiting in line behind us. And this lady had said that she was going to run out. She got scared. And I was like, oh shit, she's going to trample me. And it took me like a good 60 seconds to go into this secret room that you're only invited into just because I didn't want this lady to run me down. And I got a peek into it, and there was fucking dolls. Floor to ceiling dolls. I hate dolls. I hate clowns. As soon as we get into the room all the way, she runs out and scares the shit out of you. So, of course, I run out yelling.
She's about 2 feet tall.
Yeah. So she's dressed like a doll. She looks like a doll. It's floor-to-ceiling room of dolls. You don't know she's there, and then she just gives you a really good jump scare, which is fine. I don't mind a good jump scare, but, I mean, it got me pretty good.
It out of me, and I wasn't in the room because you 2 came running out, and I thought the lady was going to trample you because she was much taller than you, and then you have the little person coming out and laughing her ass off.
She followed us all the way out laughing.
Yeah, it was pretty freaky.
She takes pride in her work. What an asshole. Then they asked for $1, and of course I was ready because I knew I wanted that.
And I have to say, and I just want to kind of just put a disclaimer out that the reason why you were picked is because I was quite vocal
Yes.
about it being your birthday to everyone.
Yes. Yeah, you were very clear that it was my birthday, so I thank you for that. Out of there, my heart was pumping because there was clowns, there were skulls, there's a ton of shit to see. There was a new doll, and she said the picture fell off the wall because it's new doll, and cool stuff like that. She took us in. What was the next room? The Bela Lugosi?
I think it was the Crime Boy paintings. It was so many rooms. It was the crime, because it was near the beginning when it happened. They had the 2 Crime Boy paintings, the authentic Crime Boy paintings. That the story behind those is that when they've hung on the walls of different museums or places, those places have suffered fire. So there was like extra protection above the paintings. Art in there from a movie. I can't remember the movie. But it was like
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, the Burning Witch. It was an actual prop. And then, of course, the Bela Lugosi mirror. I have to say, I've been a Ghost Adventures years and years ago when the documentary first came out, and we talked about the Bela Lugosi mirror and like people being impacted by it. Well, so I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to look into it, the scrying mirror or not. I did, and so did you.
Had to. I promised myself I would do it all. There's one thing I didn't do, and I'll talk about that later. What did you see?
It just looked real. I knew the history behind it, and I knew kind of the risks and things that had happened to people, but I felt really protected. I should say, before walking in, I felt very protected. I made it a point. You gave me a really cool, what'd you call it, Suge Knight music.
It's SHUGNITE. I just call it Suge Knight.
But I felt pretty protected walking in there. I didn't feel like anything bad was going to happen to me because I wasn't going to let it. And then I also felt a little bit of anxiety to keep it going because there was people behind me, so I didn't want to like hog the mirror.
It was really dark for me. I just kind of didn't really see. I could barely even make out my own reflection, let alone anything else. It was just kind of real dark. I felt really dizzy in that room.
Yep. There was definitely a dizzy.
Yeah, it was like someone
spinning,
sitting on top of me, and kind of it felt really heavy and like super dizzy and hard to breathe in there. These rooms are curated. There's music pumping into them. There's smells pumping into them. They're like a set design. It's definitely an entertainment factor, 100%. Maybe they do some other things, some other tricks to make you feel dizzy or woozy. Or
it's only a couple rooms I felt that way, and I would say that room was the strongest. And it didn't really impact me the way that was one of the rooms that really impacted me. It was just that sense of dizziness in there. You were on a merry-go-round going really fast.
We were some of the last people to look in the mirror. I think there was another...
like 2 or 3 people behind us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we had a large group. We went into the funeral parlor before we went into that. Feel any type of way in there?
Well, yeah, and it was like, the 2 skeletons, and you're supposed to look in their eyes and see
You're supposed to face your own mortality, which I've already died, so I was like, I mean, what are you gonna see? No one really had a big reaction in that room.
The stained glass windows were beautiful in there, though.
They were gorgeous.
Yeah, I don't know how he recreated those.
They're original. From what I read, they are original. And apparently they just fit right into the building. Like they were made for it, is what they're saying. They were gorgeous.
Yeah, but it didn't feel anything. You didn't feel anything in that room, or no. I don't know.
And those are real skeletons, and I didn't get any kind of like wonky. Mm-mm. They found one in an attic somewhere, is what.
It fell out in New York, right? It like fell out of the attic or something like that.
Yeah, they found it in some attic. We walked out of the Bela Lugosi mirror, and my shoulder started burning. So I'm walking by the mirror, and there's people behind me, and I walk by the mirror, and I just see my shoulder, this, like a scratch, and I'm like, Kristina, is this what I think it is? And before we walked in, you said, look, I have no scratches, and I said, okay, check me.
Well, yeah, and I think part of our adventures in the past, we had things that have affected us physically, and so I did legitimately want to just do like an inventory while we were waiting for an hour and a half in the line.
Yes.
And it's funny because the people behind us heard us. We're like, look, we don't have any scratches. Nothing's on us. Like, we're clean. We're good. We're happy. The lady that was behind us, that happened to be the same lady that almost ran you over with, like, you guys checked before you walked in. You didn't have any scratches. And you couldn't see it very good. And they wouldn't let us take a picture because that's the other thing. You
Yeah.
cannot take your phone out. The tour guide put her flashlight on it, and there was three distinct, I would say pretty good sized scratch marks, maybe 3-4 inches, you'd say. It was about 3-4 inches scratch marks, and there's 3 of them. They got you pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely broke the skin. I wasn't bleeding.
No.
It just, you scratch up against something and it like pulls your skin. It looked like that. And we have pictures of it from when we came outside.
Yeah, she asked us to tweet it out to the museum because she saw it. I mean, and everything's, the other thing too, everything's on video camera. So they can go back, and she asked us to take a picture of it and tweet it out.
To be honest, like I said, we had a large group. We were crammed in. I didn't notice when it happened, how it happened. It could have been any of those times. It could have been when I ran out of the doll room, and I had bumped into a few people here and there and said, sorry, excuse me, and people bumped into me, and I mean, so I don't know when it happened. It wasn't like one of those things where I was like, oh, a scratch just happened just now, right here.
Yeah.
It was hot. I walked out. I seen it in the mirror, and I was like, check this out. It burned. And then the next day it felt like a bruise. So other than that, I mean, like I said, I could have bumped something and not realized it, because after I got the shit scared out of me, like my adrenaline was pumping pretty good. So, and then after that, I noticed that right after Bela Lugosi mirror and feeling kind of crappy. And then we went into the Kevorkian room, which...
Yeah, I didn't realize he did all of that art. Like, he had a lot of his original art. And there's kind of like a queuing room. They had a video. ZAK had a pre-recorded video to kind of just give you some background on Dr. Kevorkian before you actually go into the room with the band.
His art was really dark.
Really dark.
It was cool. But there's so much to look at. There's so many things. Yeah, that first room, the second room it leads into is the van. Which, how'd you feel in that room?
Yeah, just a tremendous amount of sadness. I felt like just a heaviness of sadness, And it was, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody that was in that room was quiet. Nobody was talking. It got real somber real quick. They had pictures of people that had actually passed away in the van. They explained that Kevorkian never actually pulled the trigger per se. The individual, pushed the button when they were ready. But just a tremendous amount of sadness in that room. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I think the right word you used was somber for sure.
Yeah.
They called it a vigil to the people that had passed. They said like 200, maybe more. I think it's cool to see something like that because, I mean, if I was that sick and that miserable, give me an option. But for some people, that's not an option. So I think it's cool to open up the dialogue about that kind of stuff. Jail room.
That room upset me. I was really upset.
That room is intense.
Energy in that room is just
icky.
It's icky. There's things I didn't want to know about John Wayne Gacy, about his artwork, and that he used himself in the paint mix. He had Charles Manson in there, and the artwork that was done with his ashes and his eyes,
blood and ashes.
I remember being 10 years old, living in Los Angeles, and he was on the loose in the neighborhoods. And I remember being terrified. Being in there and seeing that scared the shit out of me. I left.
My card that I got, it said I was going to jail. But that's what they meant by the card, is they have actual jail bars in there. Did you feel it was glorified at all? The murderers were...
I don't know if I'd use the word... I wouldn't use the word glorified, but I had an uneasiness, not just with the content, but I don't know, it just made me feel like I shouldn't be in there and I shouldn't be looking at this, and that I paid to see this. Probably if I went back, I wouldn't go back in there. I didn't need to see Charles Manson's dentures.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things ever.
And I know there was some controversy over him buying it. It was in the news. I think TMZ had a thing on it. To each their own. Do whatever makes you happy. And I wouldn't say glorified, because I don't feel like it was done out of disrespect.
No, not at all.
No.
I don't feel that way. It's murderabilia.
That's their thing. It just felt like I shouldn't be in there. I had OJ's chair that he was booked in.
Oh, yeah. He had the chair from the California jail. After the jail room, where did we go after the jail room? Because it was kind of that part I got foggy on. Could we walk by? I know we walked by these stairs, and these stairs, when we walked by them, I was like, I want to go down there. I want to go down there. I felt like something going, come on, come on. And there were like stairs. It was the place that she was talking about, they would buddy system to go into this room. And it was the stairs that go down. Again, I don't know much about this building.
Okay. You're talking about the basement. Okay,
yes.
So the basement. He doesn't allow anybody in the basement.
Boo.
Because it's actually set up when the building was built in 1938. It was law offices before ZAK purchased it. And I think it was back in the 70s when the house was vacant. It was a lot of satanic rituals that were going on below. And so there's pentagrams and burnt ashes and the satanic rituals. And so there's a lot of dark things that had happened down there. And E.T. Entertainment Tonight just recently walked him through, and they did a piece on the museum. And he actually took the reporter down there, and the reporter looked like he just did not want to have anything to do with it. And he dragged him down there, and he's got it set up with the pentagram down there. If you can, go Google it or go on YouTube on there now that you've gone through. I didn't want to spoil it for you because you said don't spoil it for you. But
yeah, I don't like to know before we go into places. If Kristina knows stuff that I don't, I ask her not to tell me.
Yeah. So I didn't say anything about that. But yeah, there's like a whole setup down there.
Kind of spooky that I was like, oh, I want to go down there so bad.
You're crazy.
Well, maybe it was my shirt. I mean, I had a shirt that said, let's summon demons. Well, I'm not exactly going to wear that to the drop off at school. So that gate that said keep out or do not, whatever the frick it said, just made me want to break the rules even more. I was like, ooh, what do you got down there? Like, then I was like getting weird. I was like, is that his red room? Sorry, but I was like, oh, what kind of freaky shit happens down there that only certain people are allowed? Like, creeper. God. I totally had those thoughts too. So we went by that. We went to that murder doll. Isn't that what they called it? The murder doll right before we went by those stairs?
Yeah, there was like a long hallway with a lot of different artifacts in there, things from Africa, things from different, there was a few satanic ritual pieces. Yeah, really dark shit. There was that one room with the murder doll. Yeah, the murder doll, because she witnessed the murder. The little girl who had witnessed the murder was holding the doll, I think it was, and there was still blood all over the dress. And it was almost like a christening gown, like it went to the floor. The gown went to the floor.
It was an odd doll. It was in glass, and you couldn't get to it, obviously. And it was in a room with all sorts of tchotchkes and shit. Like, there's so much to look at. You have to go back more than once just to kind of get it all. I kind of tuned out looking at her dress, and there's, like, blood stains on it. And it's a long white dress, and there's a story that the daughter was holding the doll when his dad went on a tirade, and then the brother ended up killing the father in front of the doll and the girl, saving the girl, right? Just sat with the doll, which is weird because I can't stand dolls, but I just was like, this is kind of cool to look at. Like, this doll is really neat.
At some point there was a secret bookcase that opened, but I remember the celebrity room.
Yes.
And the celebrity room, and I think the two pieces that really struck me was the photo of Chris Farley. Ugh. After they found him for 3 days. Like, it was one of those things, like, it's an accident, you don't want to look, but you look anyways.
I had to look.
And I really regret looking because that picture is just, like, ingrained in my head. So if you're squeamish about things like that, don't look.
I think it was like 3 days after he had OD'd, they found him, and someone took a Polaroid, which is, I don't know if it was like a medical examiner kind of thing, and someone got their hands on it, or the medical examiner, office sold it for whatever, because all that shady shit like that happens all the time. But he has this Polaroid of him, and it is gnarly. The photo that bothered me the most was the one in the Egeen. That room was icky. The cauldron didn't bother me. Now this is one of the rooms where it has music, it has smells pumped in, staged
it's
room.
Like a barn, an inside of a barn, like the way that they have the beams on the ceiling, and they have things hanging from the beams. And the story is that when they finally found him, there was bodies. And I think he dug up dead people, right?
I don't think he murdered people per se. I think he just exhumed corpses and had his way with them. I was under the impression he was a mass murderer. And they had his shovel hanging. Like, that didn't bother me. There was this picture in there, though, of this guy who was part of the cleanup of this barn, and he's like
Oh,
smiling with the shovel, and he's got this freaky look on his face, and he's like having a good old time. And I'm like, why the fuck is this guy so happy about this, you know, what he's doing? It just really gave me the creep. So that, I mean, that's the picture that bothered me amongst like all the kind of murderabilia stuff. Like that picture still kind of gives me the heat.
I know exactly what picture you're talking about, and I remember it clearly. And the center of the room is really the cauldron where he would boil the body, the skins off the bodies, because he was making a skin suit, like an egger suit.
He was
like
making a mom suit.
A mom suit.
A mama's boy, apparently. I'm going to stop being so nice to my boys.
What else was in there? Oh, you know, the other thing that was pretty freaky is they had Michael Jackson stuff. Like they had Conrad Murray's chair that he would sit in while he gave Michael Jackson the
Propofol. That stuff's no joke. That's what they would use to put me under to give me my neck injections with my surgery. It's some serious shit. Was that the wedding dress room too?
Sharon Tate's wedding dress, yeah.
And it was really sad when she was talking about how he got the dress. Like, I wanted to tear up and cry. It was sad to me.
Barachi's piano's in there. Yeah. A couple other pieces of clothing from other celebrities. But it lots of mirrors in there. That kind of freaked me out more than anything because I was just like, oh, mirrors everywhere.
It was kind of like a Vegas-y, showy room.
Bleach kit?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That kind of like gave me a chuckle. In there.
Once we came out of there, it was the circus.
Oh,
the little circus. A circus and like a lot of circus memorabilia. Not too many clowns at that point. It was huge miniature circus. They had popcorn smells pumped in there.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, it smells like popcorn.
I remember you saying that. The lion head. They had the lion head.
Oh yeah, the lion head in there. That's when it went into the room where I think that was the first time I really just couldn't look. They had a little bit of a freak show.
I love a good freak show. I'm like, right up front, I was kind of felt like a train wreck. I couldn't look away, and then I kind of felt like, is this the time that he misses a socket? You know?
Nope, I want to see it.
Yeah, that. So he takes a 6-inch drill and he shoves it in his nose to his eye socket. So that was interesting. And he's so nonchalant about it too. And I'm up front like, yeah, clapping. And then he takes these fish hooks, not like the kind you would go fishing with, just like these heavy duty hooks that aren't sharp at the end, and he hooks it to an empty paint can, and he has someone in the group fill the can with a cup of water, and I got splashed, so I know that shit was full. And he swings it from his eye socket, and again, there I am, loving it. Loved every second of it. That was awesome. Well, because Kristina was cowering in the corner, the tour guide, and I was right next to her, and we were at the quote-unquote end, I thought, which turned out to be the beginning
of a section you wanted nothing to do with, and I laughed my ass off all the way.
I had a dream like a week before. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about this. I was stuck in a room with clowns, and it was just a night terror, and I told Kristina, I texted her the next day about it, and she goes, oh, well, there's clowns there. And I don't even remember it. I just remember hitting you.
Well, we went up the stairs, and the tour guide says, I'll meet you at end.
Oh, fuck
and she kind of had a menacing look on her face, and all of a sudden, I'm in the front, because you're behind me, and I'm in the front, and I got to go through this clown thing. I'm not afraid of clowns. It was just creepy. We get up to the top of the stairs, and I realize we're on our own. So I'm triggering animatronic clowns, and it's a labyrinth. And you kind of go through, and it's got the funhouse mirrors and the clowns popping out of and the walls, and she's screaming, going, I need to get out of here. And I'm literally dragging her through the maze.
I did not open my eyes once. I clawed my way through your hand, and I think I hit you the whole time going, no.
And there's one section of this that you didn't, I don't know if you saw it or not, but he has like 6-7 foot clowns, like full clowns, and they're all side by side in a walkway, and you have to walk by them, and you like touch up against them. It's narrow, and you don't know if they're going to jump out, like if it's an actor or what's going on. And it was pretty terrifying because they weren't just like normal clowns. I mean, they were kind of like demented clowns.
Yes.
That was an experience.
Yeah, thank you for going first, because I was in tears when I came out of there. I didn't look the whole time. I kept my head down and just let you pull me. And I didn't know what was happening. I was just, because we had traded tour guides so many times, I just figured there would be another tour guide right when we got to the top of the stairs, because they're like, oh, watch your step going up. And then it's a haunted house attraction with just centered around clowns. I'm not a haunted house person. I hate them. I rather be scared by the real shit. Like, give me the real stuff. I don't want your fake ass, whack ass animatronics. But clown stuff does freak me out. That makes me want to cry.
Was probably one of my favorite rooms, and I can't tell you why, but Peggy.
Yes, I loved that room.
Had there not been so many people in there, I would have felt a little bit less inhibited to like stay in there for questions. You go into this little room and there's a warning, and it's one of the few rooms where you have an option to opt out of it. You need to say hi, Peggy, and bye, Peggy, and you don't want to upset her, and you don't want to look at her in the eyes.
I did.
You did?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they had the spirit box going.
The spirit box going.
You can hear it from outside the room. You hear ch-ch-ch-ch, and every once in a while you'll hear something break through before you even go in.
When we walked in there, everybody said hello, and it's not just Peggy, it's all the other freak dolls that are scary looking on the floor looking at you.
Mm-hmm. There's a million little eyes.
Got clear responses. The tour guide asked, what's your favorite color? And she clearly said blue.
The whole room heard it. It was pretty cool. I was expecting a female voice to come through, but it was a male's voice that said blue.
Hearing blue and going, damn, that was like completely on the spot. He asked, what's your favorite color, Peggy? And she said blue.
And it's funny, when we had come out of that room after we were waiting to go into the Dybbuk box room, or we went to the shrunken head before we went to the Dybbuk box. And that's one by one. You go in that room. But as we were waiting in that hallway, you could hear the box, and every once in a while you hear something come through. You couldn't make it out because the door was closed. The lady in front of me, she was asking the guy, like, is it still talking in there? And he's like, yeah, can't you hear it? Because she didn't know anything about there. It looked like her husband and son kind of were fans of the show and dragged her along.
If you've never really heard a spirit box, or you've never used one before, and that's your first interaction with one, like in real life, I could see how that could be pretty freaky. When the first time I used one, or the first time I actually got like solid confirmation that there's something on the other side, you sit there and you question yourself, like, did I just hear what I just heard? No, I didn't hear it. And if it's recorded, you play it back and you go, oh my God, that really did happen. Or that flashlight really did flicker on cue, or what have you. So I could imagine somebody that isn't accustomed to it, brand new, looking at it for the first time would have just been like, oh my gosh, she's talking.
Yeah, especially after they give you this warning about the doll that if you have a heart problem, don't go in.
Bloody noses too is often people get a bloody nose.
I imagine she was probably kind of freaked out because her reaction was like, it's still going. And to me, I was like, oh, cool. And that's the hallway that something moved, and you're like, what's behind there?
You definitely did feel like there was things in there. There was activity. If you had taken a spirit box in there, you could see how you could catch quite a bit.
It felt like you just were being watched. That for me anyway. Like, you knew that there's more to it than just like the rooms that you go into. From my perspective, that's how I felt. There's more in there that just...
I was going to say, did you feel anything in the Dybbuk box room? Because I didn't feel anything.
Not at all. You go into a staging room first. They give you the option to go into this room. Oh, I take that back. I did know something about the Dybbuk box room other than what you told me. There was like a quote-unquote donation box, but it looks like they had taken that out because I didn't mention it. And that was something I was like, oh, I have my parking ticket from when we ate lunch that I'll leave, and I could question myself, like, do you really want to do that? To a larger room, which is another staged room, there is this chanting music, which apparently is the Jewish prayer that's etched onto the box from what the tour guide was saying to me. And someone's like saying it in this deep, manly voice, and it's supposed to be kind of like freaky, and it does present like an atmosphere, and then it has these cool walls, and there's red peeking out of the lights of the wall, so it's staged really cool. And then the box is front and center, really heavy glass.
The Dybbuk box itself, it's a vintage wine cabinet, I believe. Mm-hmm. They made the movie The Possession was based on this Dybbuk box because it's considered like the world's most haunted object. And he said that some of the salt, they have a salt ring around it. Some of the salt has recently moved, and the box itself, one of the doors on the box started opening again. I don't know if they were staged. I remember the salt, and then I remember the tour guide saying that the door was actually opening again.
And you could see it. So under this glass, if you're short like me, you can see the reflection of the box from the top of the glass, and you could see that it's cracked open. I personally don't feel like they crack it open and move the salt themselves.
No.
That's my personal feeling about it. Like, I don't feel like they staged that. I feel like that's authentic. I don't know how you feel about it.
Given the history of it, I just don't think he would have messed with it. I know, it's like the Annabelle doll. There was some controversy over that because he actually touched it. I don't think they would have staged that or moved the salt or done anything like that to like scare people. I mean, just the aesthetics in the room were frightening enough. The way that the walls were glowing and things like that. Like the energy in the room, like just the feeling, you close your eyes and you feel the energy in the room. It didn't feel threatening. It just felt flat to me.
Then that's the word I would have used too. It felt really flat to me. And we did after a day it had been closed. So the museum is dark on that Tuesday, and we went. So there was no, and we were one of the first tours to go through after they had opened too. So maybe that's had something to do with it as well. Just kind of like a energy rest between those rooms. And now, if you're freaked out by chanting and ambiance, then I mean, yeah, it's kind of a creepy room, but other than that, like, I didn't feel any kind of ominous danger or anything lurking. I'm that type of person where I would touch stuff like that. I'm that person. So I'm like, yeah, I looked in its eyes. Yeah, I looked in the mirror.
There was the one room. We should probably talk about the one room that was at the top of the stairs that we didn't go in.
I wouldn't. I knew from downstairs when she had mentioned him. There's a picture of this man in the jail room, and right when she mentioned him, my whole body just went, ugh. And I was like, nope. Because she said he has a room upstairs. And I was like, nope, I don't want nothing. I don't know why. Can't tell you. Didn't go in the room. Don't know anything that's in it. Did you go in that room? I can't even remember. You didn't go.
No, I stayed out there with you.
That's
because you were pretty freaked out, and I didn't want to leave you by yourself at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, he would lure men in. I heard them say like they would hook him up to batteries. Like he would torture them in an experimental way, and he would actually document his torture. And that freaked me out, and I just signed off completely on that room, and because I told myself I was going to do it all, but that room was some badass juju. I was not trying to see any of it. After we came back downstairs.
Oh, yeah, the Natalie Wood.
I didn't feel anything, did you?
No. Natalie was named after Natalie Wood. So we went in there, and it was kind of interesting because I had watched a couple documentaries, that Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken were both, on the boat the night she died. Got in and he smashed a glass wine bottle over the table. Well, Zach has the table in there. There was just different pieces of the boat, different metal pieces from the boat. I wish he could have taken pictures. I didn't really feel anything in there. He had some pieces from the Titanic, too.
He had a miniature replica of the Titanic. He had a mirror so the mirror was payment to the captain's maid. Captain's family member had told the maid, because he had passed on the ship, that she could take whatever she wanted from the residents for payment. And she took the mirror, and then she gave the mirror to a sister-in-law, I think, and she had said that she had seen the captain's reflection in it on certain days, I think the story went. But that room was flat. It didn't feel like anything. It didn't.
And the same thing with the other room with the paranormal investigator that you knew. I didn't know who it was. That had
Shapiro.
Just passed. They kind of had like a little side room with all of her, like a reenactment of her equipment.
Mm-hmm. She had documented her descent with this demon. She was haunted, and they showed these pictures of her happy and normal, and then declined into this like skeletal person. Yeah. Like she didn't even look like herself. It was really kind of distorted, and poor lady. So she was pretty much tortured, and she had all these writings, but it was still really cool to see as far as like from what we're interested in. I don't know. I don't know what you took from it. I thought it was pretty cool to see, though.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it's sad, but interesting. I think I had a lot of anxiety because the outside of the room, the way they had it set up, almost I thought it was the demon room.
Yeah.
The demon house room. And so I was just kind of like, if that's what that is, I don't want to have anything to do with it because that's my hard no. That's my hard stop. And so when I saw the recreation of the front of the room, it looked like an old house. And I was like, yes. Oh, is that the house? Is that the wood? It wasn't. That was the next room.
As soon as they opened the door and I saw her picture, I knew exactly who it was. That's not it, whatever. And then she had said, now we're going to go to this door with the crucifix above it. And then you knew for sure. It's one room, but there's this dark pitch black room, and you play a little video and it talks about the demon house, which I had actually seen that documentary. I wanted to know what the big deal was about this
Nope.
demon.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Have you seen the documentary?
Nope. Don't want to see it. I mean, I don't get scared easily, but there's certain things like that when it gets purely satanic and demonic like that. That's my line.
Wanted to watch it to see what they caught. I was thinking that it would be more of like an investigation kind of, which they did catch some stuff and they did show some stuff. They showed people being affected by the house, and they kind of went into the history of the house, and they went about the family that had all these experiences, and they interviewed people. My takeaway from that was people that had actually went to the house had some pretty shitty luck after, and coming from somewhere where I know about having something in my possession and having shitty luck, thinking that that's the cause, and then going, no, that's not it, and then going, yeah, that's fucking it, and then going, no, that's not. That really intrigued me about. But you didn't go in that room. It's not a room for short people. Let me just tell you that. I'm 5'1" and kind of had to like strain to like look. The tour guide popped back in with a step stool, not just for me, but in general, because it's a window that opens up. What is in that room is the stairs and the dirt. So apparently he demolished this house.
Whatever he kept, but the house, when it was demolished, he actually paid for it to be, once it was demolished, like they buried it deep in the ground. Yeah, he might have kept certain things for the exhibit.
Gotcha.
But the majority of the house was like, they dug a deep hole, like after they demolished it, we could get to it. Like I think he had paid extra money or something like that to make sure that it was really clear, because his concern was that if anybody came into contact with any of it, because it was so highly charged, that something might happen.
There's some fucker out there digging that shit up. I couldn't really see it because I'm so small, and I was like, after there's this like baby doll, like this demonic looking fake baby doll.
Yeah.
Annoyed me to the point where I came out of the room early, remember?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even need to see the dirt. I don't need to see any of that. Like, I'm annoyed. And that was the last room. And then you go into the gift shop.
And you want to talk what happened in the gift shop?
Sure. We're going to talk about the watch on a podcast and go into it a little bit. I did not know that it was his mom.
When we entered the gift shop and exited the tour, I had encouraged you to talk to someone about this watch because you brought it with you and you've been trying to get rid of it. You were a little reluctant, and I kind of pushed her into the tour guide. She's like, the tour guide's looking at us like, what the hell? And I'm like, tell her. You went and talked to her, and the tour guide immediately responded, let me go talk to Nancy. And you had no idea she was. You just kind of turned the corner, and Nancy's, Zach's mom, she was standing right there about the watch.
I didn't know who she was. I don't watch the show unless, like, I've seen maybe a handful of episodes. And when we had come out, you're like, you know who that is? And I'm like, Nancy, duh. You're like, no, that's his mom. And I was like, oh, I'm sure
I think she was probably concerned you were going to ask for money for it or something like that. She probably wanted to know what angle you were coming from. And the angle was purely like, just take it. Because it was she thought it was in like 1920s or...
She thought it was old. No, it is 1920s. She thought it was like in the 60s or whatnot, because it's kind of like an Art Deco style. After you see like the serial number and it opens, and you basically to Hazel from Ted, and it's like 1924, 1926 or something like that. I ended up leaving the watch there. I don't want anything.
I'm done with the watch, with you having the watch, just because of what's happened, which about later with the watch.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the watch. It's a whole other show. Just know that when I did dig this watch back up, Russ was shot at the gun range. Like 3 days later, he had a freak accident at this gun range. And that's kind of was my catalyst to like, I'm done. The last time it was dug up, my appendix burst out of nowhere. And then the time before that, I was in my car accident. So I had it.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Zach, for taking it. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Oh, I shudder to think.
I hope it doesn't get into anybody else's hands. You know what I mean? Like, because we talked about that, about selling it. It's like, well, the concern is that somebody else is going to get this wrap with this watch. So.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been able to throw it on eBay, but then my conscience was like, if something happened to somebody, I'd feel like shit. I would feel really badly about it, so I didn't want to put anybody in that position. Remember we tried to bury it in the desert?
Yep, we tried to go out into the desert and bury it.
We got lost. I thought about having it melted down, but then I was kind of like, I don't know if I want that. So burying it was pretty much the best route. Every time I got up the notch, I was in a car accident. And then the next time that I had got it up there, my appendix burst. So both times I wasn't able to get it where it was supposed to go. And I was super nervous, like shaking when I was giving it to her, just having it in my presence. Every time it's been out and around, because I used to think, well, maybe I'm supposed to wear it. But and then I wake up with scratches or marks around my neck or whatever. So I brought pictures in to show her and be like, this isn't bullshit. Like,
and you probably wouldn't know because it would be on one of those cabinets with all the other knickknacks and crap that he has in there. Because it's just so, like we were saying earlier, there's so much you can't even process it all in one go through. I mean,
I feel like it was worth the money for sure. I'll definitely go back just to see all the other stuff. And plus, I kind of feel like the energy probably changes in the room. It's been a couple weeks since we've been. It took me at least 3-4 days to kind of like catch my breath after going.
Mm-hmm.
It was because it's so much information and so overwhelming, and you're kind of like, oh, remember that, and then some things I completely blocked out, like the clown room.
The value of it, it's something that's unique in that it's only here in Vegas, and there's people from all over the world that go. The staff was really nice. Like he said, all the tour guides were really nice. Like everybody was good customer service as far as like just interacting with people. And
yeah, I think the only thing they have really fine tune, and I mean, I don't run the museum. I don't know what it's like to run a museum. I don't know what it's like to schedule these tours. I don't know how difficult it probably is. I feel like they should maybe have better systems in place to get those people who've already prepaid in.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because what they can do is, because they have two tour groups going in at the same time, it's like one's reservations and one's walk-up, and you have one going one way and the other one going the other way. So don't have to wait an hour and a half.
I've maybe tell people like, hey, plan on waiting. I don't know if they've tried different things. Like I said, I don't know how to run a museum. This isn't my thing.
It's going to last out there, especially if you're disabled or you have health issues. Like, it's miserable. I mean, I would be like, I'm going to go wait in my car with the air conditioning on, or can I come back in an hour? And it wasn't a busy day, right? Because it was a Wednesday.
Honestly, I don't know what they consider busy. There was a line, and then there was a second line. And we were in the second line.
And then the other line was just kind of you're waiting till you can get into that first line.
Just something, food for thought, I guess. And if you're definitely considering going in the evening. You can't book anything, but I would go in the evening if you're coming in the summer. But it's probably even more busy in the evening. I didn't feel rushed, though, knowing that we had a large group. And did you feel rushed at all? I didn't.
No, and I had heard some actual reviews that they rushed you through, like in the very beginning. I think they probably made some changes based on the feedback, because I did read some reviews. I think it was on Yelp or something, that one of the biggest complaints is that they felt like there was so much to look at and that they were being rushed. And I was paying attention to that when we went through, and I didn't feel rushed. Yeah. I felt like it was a pretty good pace, and like the tour guides were looking like when people seemed like they had seen everything in a room, or it was time to move on. They moved you on to the next tour guide, or they moved you on to the next section of the house. I mean, because it's a really big house, and it doesn't look that big from the outside. I mean, it's like something like 11,000 square feet or something like that.
I think there's like 30 plus rooms.
It's quite large, and it doesn't look like that from the street. Will you see ZAK there? And I've met him a couple times. It didn't matter to me, but I knew the people behind us were from out of town. I did ask the director of security. I said, hey, we see his Bentley out there. Is he going to come by and say hi? He said he didn't know. He goes, he just kind of pops in whenever. So if you're hoping to meet ZAK or see ZAK, it's kind of the luck of the draw. But he seems to be there quite a bit.
Well, I mean, his mom's there. She was awesome. She was super nice. And, you told me who she was. And I was like, oh, that's cool, especially if you're like a fan or the show or what. But yeah, I mean, I would go back. Would you?
I think for me, it was just like I had to do my cleansing afterwards and preparing myself to go in and feeling kind of like I had to Reiki myself and make sure I felt protected before I walked in there. I really didn't want any of that shit following me home. And maybe on another podcast we can talk about that, but it's happened.
Yes.
It's happened to my daughter, yes, where stuff has lingered after going to some of these locations we've been to. And I really didn't want anything following me home. So I was really clear about that. Like, you are not allowed to follow me home. Stay here where you belong. So I think as long as I had that preparation, that I would be okay going back. I know my 18-year-old son wants to go, so And I wouldn't necessarily advise being drunk going through it either. It is Vegas.
I feel like they kick you out. They'd be like, you gotta go.
Yeah, they probably would.
I mean, I would hope they would, because if I was someone that paid to go through there and there was some drunk asshole, I'd be like, get him out of here or her out of here. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. Like, I have no patience for crowds. Like, I'm not a crowd person already. And those rooms pretty tight. I couldn't imagine going through. Yeah, definitely don't drink and visit. That would be really obnoxious. You'd probably get kicked out. And they have a bunch of skulls in that place, which I was kind of like...
Real human skulls.
Yeah. I was kind of intrigued by that. I was like, how does one acquire...
I told you I met Aaron when we were in Target. We were talking to him and Bacon were there. He was saying that one of the things he really wanted to do was to buy skulls. And I'm like, real skulls? And he's like, oh yeah, real skulls. And I'm like, I didn't even ask. I'm like, there must be a way to buy real skulls, I guess.
The dark web.
The dark web, yeah.
Silk Road. Oh wait, that's just drugs. No one look there, okay?
It was pretty interesting. I had a friend that on the museum before it opened and had told me a couple, little pieces of it, and it'd be interesting to go. And then I don't know why, I just got this feeling like it just wasn't the right place for me to go. I mean, I can go to Virginia City, we can go, whatever, in a cemetery at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I just didn't feel like it was the right time to go. And I think I was right. Like, it was good when we went. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, overall, it wasn't a negative experience. Even though I got scratched, and like I said, I'm not saying like something there scratched me. I could have easily bumped into someone or something. Like, I trip up the stairs. I am that clumsy girl. And I noticed it until we were in the hallway, and that had after been, my adrenaline was pumping from that jump scare.
She came out a couple other times too. Like, she came out of nowhere. She was just walking through the museum, but she came out a couple other times and kind of startled me. Because you're not expecting someone to 2-3 feet to come out at you unexpectedly in a dark corner. It sounds kind of silly, but it was really alarming.
And then she popped up by the stairs, because I remember I was looking down those stairs like,
basement, yeah.
I swear, I really went down those stairs. Something's just like, come play with me, and it's probably not a good thing, but
no, I would say not.
Definitely, I would be like a kid in a candy store in that place. I'd be in there all the time. I could see how somebody would want to work there and want to be there a lot. Like, for me anyway. Alright, well, that's going to wrap it for us this time around. If you are in Vegas and you do take a tour, we'd love to hear about your experience at the museum. You can tweet us at eternalreturn_1. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at Eternal Return Pod. You can follow us there for upcoming shows. Alright, I guess it's time to sage ourselves.